All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Because look, if you've ever even briefly thought about buying a home, you already know the feeling, right? It's incredibly exciting, sure, but it can also feel like a total whirlwind. Honestly, it often feels like you're staring up at this massive mountain of paperwork, confusing jargon, and huge financial commitments. Well, today, we're going to flip that script. We're going to transform that anxiety into absolute confidence by walking through a definitive, chronological roadmap that breaks the whole home buying process down into 10 clear, actionable steps. We've all heard the saying that buying a home is one of the most significant financial decisions you'll ever make. And that is absolutely true. Because the stakes are just incredibly high here. Meticulous preparation isn't just, a nice to have. It is absolutely essential before you even think about attending an open house. Winging it, that can literally cost you tens of thousands of dollars down the line. But preparing properly, that sets you up for long-term financial security. So to get you there, here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1, preparing for your journey, 2, financing and the search, 3, making a winning offer, 4, navigating inspections and appraisals, 5, the final closing steps, and finally, 6, life after the sale. Let's kick things off with phase 1, preparing for your journey. Our very first phase is all about building a rock-solid foundation before you ever step foot inside a single property. This breaks down into 3 steps. Step 1 is bulletproofing your financial foundation. This means understanding the true cost of ownership. We're talking property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, the whole shebang. Step 2 is defining your vision and lifestyle. And hey, this isn't just about picking a nice zip code. It's about evaluating school districts, which heavily impact your resale value, kids or no kids, and really vetting those neighborhoods. You need to drive through at night or during rush hour to see if the actual vibe matches the pristine listing photos. Then, step 3 is crafting your negotiation and protection plan so you can leverage terms in a competitive market. And this brings us to a massive mindset shift: how you view your realtor. A lot of folks kind of think an agent is just someone who unlocks the front door of a house you already found online. But you absolutely need to hire a strategic advocate, not just an access point. A true pro gives you market intelligence, digging up off-market opportunities so you don't overpay. They're your analyst, your strategist, and the person actively defending your future wealth. Moving right along to phase 2, financing and the search. Now, financing is the undeniable gatekeeper of this entire process. Before you go falling in love with a gorgeous kitchen island, you need to know exactly what you can afford. And that all boils down to your debt-to-income ratio, or DTI. Lenders want to see that all your new home costs, your debt payments, taxes, insurance, do not exceed 43% of your income. To put that into perspective, if you're bringing in a gross monthly income of $4,000, your maximum mortgage payment strictly cannot pass $1,720. Keeping your DTI below that 43% threshold, that's your golden ticket to a pre-approval letter. So, once you've nailed down your budget, you have to pick a loan path. And this brings us to a really vital question that trips up so many buyers. What exactly is the difference between conventional and federal home loans? Let's compare them side by side. Conventional loans are financed purely by private lenders, like banks. Because the bank is carrying all the risk, they're going to want stronger credit scores and higher down payments, though you might score better interest rates if your finances are pristine. Federal loans, on the other hand, are government-backed, meaning the government is insuring the loan, which massively lowers the risk for the lender. Thanks to that safety net, federal loans give you much more flexible credit requirements and lower down payments. Let's look at how that safety net actually translates into real benefits for you. Under the federal umbrella, you've got some incredible options. The FHA loan is fantastic for first-time buyers, letting you put down as little as 3.5%. If you've served in the military, the VA loan requires 0 down payment and no mortgage insurance. And if you're looking out in a rural area, the USDA loan also gives you a 0 down option with discounted rates. Finding the exact right loan completely changes the game for your purchasing power. Okay, armed with your pre-approval, which, by the way, is typically good for about 60 to 90 days, the fun part finally begins: the search. You'll leverage MLS tools to zero in on exactly what you want, and your agent will get those private showings booked. But here's a quick, crucial note. Before you actually tour a home with your agent, you'll need to sign a written buyer agreement. It outlines the services they provide and their compensation. It's just a standard step to ensure total transparency across the board. Which brings us to phase 3, making a winning offer. You've done the tours, you've found the one, and now strategy is everything. To make your offer really pop, you submit what's called earnest money. Think of it as your skin in the game.
It's a deposit, usually 1 to 3% of the home's value, that goes into a secure escrow account. It doesn't go straight to the seller's pocket, don't worry, but it signals to them loudly and clearly that you are a serious buyer ready to take this property off the market. But how do you protect that earnest money once it's out there? That's where contingencies come in. These are your ultimate protective shields. They're legally binding clauses that basically say, hey, I will buy this house if certain conditions are met. If the home fails an inspection, if the appraisal comes in super low, or if your financing suddenly falls through, these contingencies let you legally back out of the contract without any penalty, and you get your earnest money fully refunded. Next up, Phase 4, navigating inspections and appraisals. The second your offer is accepted, the clock starts ticking on what is honestly the most stressful part of the journey: due diligence. Here's how fast this moves. Day 1 is pure celebration. But immediately, between days 1 and 14, you have to execute a comprehensive home inspection to hunt down any hidden issues. Then, usually from day 15 onward, your lender orders the appraisal to make sure the home is actually worth the cash you're borrowing. Because remember, lenders absolutely will not lend you more than the home's appraised value. So what happens if that inspection report comes back looking a bit like a horror novel? Well, an unexpected issue is not a deal breaker. This is where you actually have 3 amazing leverage options. 1, you can ask them to lower the purchase price. 2, you can ask for credits toward your closing costs so you have the cash to fix it yourself later. Or 3, you demand the seller fixes the issues before closing. And if they flat out refuse, your inspection contingency lets you walk away, deposit in hand, boom.
Almost there. Phase 5, the final closing steps.
You've navigated the repairs, the appraisal looks good, but listen up because this is absolutely crucial. The golden rule of home buying right now is do not make large purchases. Seriously, do not open new credit cards, don't buy a new truck for the driveway, and whatever you do, do not change jobs. Right now, an underwriter is meticulously reviewing your finances to make sure you're just as stable today as you were when you got pre-approved. One big purchase can throw your DTI completely out of whack and cause your loan to fall apart at the 11th hour. Keep everything exactly as it is. If you follow that golden rule, you clear underwriting. That's step 1. 3 days before closing, you'll get your closing disclosure so you know exactly what funds you need. Step 2 is the final walkthrough, just to make sure the seller actually did the repairs they promised. And step 3, you finally sit down at the closing table, sign a mountain of paperwork, and the keys are yours. You're a homeowner.
And finally, Phase 6, life after the sale.
Now, you might think handing over the keys is the end of the line, right? Actually, scratch that. A truly great real estate advocate knows long-term homeownership comes with a massive admin checklist. They should be helping you transfer gate codes, verifying that the county actually recorded your deed, and handing you things like homestead exemption forms to save you money on your taxes. They'll help set up utilities and even schedule check-ins a few months down the line just to make sure you're thriving. It's about a lasting relationship for sure. So that brings us to our final thought today. You now have the ultimate roadmap in your hands. You know the financing, the contingencies, the traps to avoid in underwriting. But as you'll see, knowing the path and actually walking it are 2 very different things. This is a high-stakes, 10-step process filled with serious legal and financial hurdles. So the question you really need to ask yourself is, who are you going to trust to mentor you through this journey? Take the time to find the right strategic advocate, and your path to homeownership will be clearer and way more confident than you ever thought possible.